Okay, I think we can start. It's almost time. So, hello everybody. I am Patryk. I am tech leader here at Netguru, and today I would like to present you a presentation which will be about the project that I write myself, which is in the App Store. And I would like you to tell a story, a journey, how it became from a pretty simple project to a project with multiple targets, and actually how to cover all issues having multiple targets in the application. And the presentation itself is called Benefits from the Embedded Frameworks Approach in a Daily Development Work, which actually shows a little bit what I will be talking about. But I also have a second title of this presentation, which is Short History of the Carrier Project. Okay, but first of all, I would like to set a goal of this presentation, which is to fill this target membership table with all possible targets needed by the application. Based on the story, I would like to fill this table, and this table also will allow us easily navigate about which part of the application I will be talking about. So I will put this little guy here in the top right corner, and also I will reveal it or hide it when necessary. Right now, I will reveal this, hide this screen, and give you a context about the Carrier project, because the Carrier was the application I was talking about. I will be talking about. As I said at the beginning, presentation is based on the real cases, so I experienced them while developing Carrier project. And I would like to tell you a little bit about this application, what it contains, what it offers, who is the audience, and so on and so forth. So basically, the application is dedicated to women after their 40s and addresses a menopause change. It allows to understand what changes women's body will pass during that period, and possibly help them to mitigate potential health issues. The application consists of few features, but I will be talking only about two of them, which is presentation concerns. If you are curious, of course, you can check the App Store. Application is available globally. Application is out of charge, so it's free. You can download it and check it by yourself. Okay, first screen. This screen is being displayed right after the authorization. User can easily access many features from here. It's called dashboard. And our main concern from this screen is a quick relief section, which provides an instant access to audio tracks that may help to reduce tension or stress caused by experiencing symptoms. And of course, we have symptom screens because we have to, relieve something, to relieve symptoms. So we would like to also track those symptoms. User can track symptoms that she experiences day by day. It also allows the application to build the entire history, analyze symptoms, for example, pick articles correlated to those symptoms, or suggest a meal recipe that may reduce intensity of tracked symptoms, and so on and so forth. This part will be also a main concern of this presentation. And of course, while we have all those data, we can present it in very, very numerous graphs, but it's not the main concern here. And because the application is almost live, and when you develop the application, the first thing you do is to create the app. And when you create the app, Xcode creates two targets. And one target is the target of the application. The second target is the test target, which provides a best feedback experience to the users. And that's why this table has been fulfilled with two options, with two targets. Okay, so now let's consider a symptom, which is a source of knowledge about the particular symptom. The app contains over 40 symptoms. That's why this enum, which represents symptom, contains so many cases. Obviously, to make it work, a file that contains symptom must be.
But
yes.
I think you're not presenting. We just see your screen in a window mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about now?
Yeah, unfortunately, you just stopped at the first screen, so.
Oh yeah. But what you can see here right now?
Yeah, now it's fine. I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you guys want me to start from the very beginning, or maybe continue? Okay, so if I start from the beginning, then possibly I could not fit the entire the time that I have, but maybe we'll try. Okay, so basically, maybe I will show screens because I hope you have heard me. So this is a presentation about the career project, and the goal of this presentation is to fill the target membership table, which I will be hiding and revealing depending on the situation. And I was talking about the career project itself. There was only an icon, and also I was showing screenshots from this presentation, from this application, and showing content that will be main concern of this presentation. So as I told, there was a home screen where user can enter, can see many features here. It can easily enter other sections. And I will focus on quick relief section, which is about to provide an instant access to relief tracks, audio tracks that may help to reduce potential stress or tension. And the second screen I will be using in this presentation is a logging screen when user can log all symptoms she experienced, also the intensity. And the last screen, sorry about that, the last screen was just a presentation of graphs and possibilities that how we can use those data, because the application itself uses those data in many various ways. And of course, why we have this application, we obviously have to add two targets, which is first target is just the application that we write. And the second target is just the test target, which ensures us that written code is good quality and provides the best feedback experience to end users. Okay, and I think we ended somewhere here. So we have a logging screen. And logging screen, on logging screen, symptoms are being presented. And symptom enum contains so many cases because application contains over 40 symptoms. And obviously, to make this working, to make it visible by Xcode, we have to associate it to a target, right? And this is something that you probably already know because Xcode does it for you out of the box. And at this stage, you probably write such application many times in your career. So I did also. We made a release, the application has become available in the App Store, but one day the client has come to me and asked whether whether we can implement Siri Shortcuts feature or not, and how it looks, what we need, and so on and so forth. So I was like, say what? You didn't mention that earlier. Maybe I will implement the application a little bit differently when I know about it. But we started a meeting, gathering the requirements, and a concept behind that was having this logging screen. I would like to involve Siri engine to provide a content. In this case, it was like only a symptom and intensity with our hands. So, for example, I can drive a car and log symptom using Siri. So later on, when I go back to the application, this symptom is being saved. Okay, so I started reading the documentation about Siri Shortcuts, which, to be honest, I wasn't familiar with. And being armed with newly gained knowledge, I have started implementing this feature. So to make this concept working, I needed two intermediate UI elements. The first of it was Add to Siri button, which is a part of Apple Intent UI framework. And this button, after tap, presents a modal view controller, which is also a part of Apple Intent UI framework, and it looks like this. When user can just add a symptom, framework ensures that the symptom isn't repeated by the other application. User can obviously change what she's saying. Maybe log symptom isn't a good idea. Maybe she wants something else. And if users agree to continue with it, she just adds the shortcut to Siri, and basically that's it. But how it looks from the implementation point of view. So first of all, you need an intent extension, which is responsible for defining content of shortcuts and communicating with Siri engine. Secondly, if you want to present a UI to user, as presented on the screen, you need a second extension, which is Intent UI. And of course, to make it work altogether, you need two more things, which is Siri intent definition file and intent handler. Both files are automatically generated by Xcode. Okay, so let me reveal a target membership table, and let me add two more targets, because as you can see, we have added extensions. And to resume, this part of screen is directly correlates to intent extension, which is EVA intents target in the entire project. Later on, we have Intent UI, which is responsible for presenting a UI using Siri engine, and entire implementation is part of EVA Intent UI target. Okay, we have also Siri kit intent definition file. When we define intent type, but I won't move further into details because it's not a part of this presentation. The most important thing here that Xcode generates a file like this based on that UI representation, but we would like to use only few exposed methods. We don't need to use all of them. So let's focus on only two. And the first is the public variable, which is symptom. And please remember that this is string. And we have a function, a requirement, protocol requirement that we have to meet to make it work. Okay, so we have also an intent handler. which we can decide which intents recognition should be run. For example, in this case, we have only log symptom intent handler like this, and this class, which is just for created just for readiness. So it won't be one big file. So I separated it, and log symptom intent handler class will take care of intent, whether a user wants to log symptom, and that's all. And this is this file. Okay, so moving further, we have a protocol requirement to meet, and this is this function we have to implement. We have to check whether the symptom, which is string, that comes from intent is string or not. When it's not, when it's nil, then we respond with a failure. And when it is not nil, then we possibly would like to initialize a symptom with those strings. Nevertheless, we don't have such initializer yet, so we have to write it. And this constructor is about matching a word that user has said to possible synonyms. So if user says anxiety, it matches the anxiety symptom, but user also can say I'm feeling anxious, or my anxiety is bad, and it also will match the anxiety symptom. Okay, so moving further, having this initializer, you would like to run this code, and Xcode gives us such a warning. So what happened here, you may ask why, and this is because a symptom which we previously defined is only is a part of a target. But maybe you would like to fix it very, very dirty and just check, 2 more checkboxes, and it will be working. But maybe it's not the cleanest solution here. Maybe we should think it other way around. So I started to think about it, and the idea behind it was, what if I take the common content that might be reused across targets and move it somewhere else, for example, to a framework, right? So it doesn't sound bad. It actually sounds pretty well. I have the couple code. I have code in one place. I don't repeat myself. I maintain only one code in one place. So yeah, let's do it. It's pretty nice. So I changed the target. I changed association of the symptom file from 3 targets to 1 target. And of course, to fulfill the aim of this presentation, I would like to add a test target, which ensures us that the code that we wrote works perfectly fine. Okay, so I have started programming. I must admit it took quite a while. It ended with 2 huge pull requests. Hopefully someone review it. It wasn't just an approval without seeing it at all. So I hope it worked like that. But having this, I was able to transform something like this to something like this. Maybe you don't see a difference, so I just show the previous slide. So we have a enum 3 that belongs to 3 targets, and then we have the same enum that belongs to 1 target. And as you can see, only a public keyword has appeared here and there, which basically means that this file and its initializers in this case might be used outside of the framework. So this is something that I really like. Okay, great success. A success that actually didn't take long, because one day the client came to me and asked me about the Apple Watch integration. And actually it was like a month later. So I must admit, I felt like a CJ from GTA San Andreas video game, because, here we go again. And we met with the client and started to decoupling entire feature. So in this case, you would like to move a quick relief section, so entire relief feature, from the iPhone to Apple Watch. So users might have an instant access to relief audios on the Apple Watch, for example, when they are sleeping or something like that. And to achieve this, we were only need two things to transform: a list of reliefs, which you can see here, and a particular relief details screen, which consists of audio player and animated background. Okay, so let me reveal target membership table once again, and let me add two more targets, which are Eva Watch for Apple Watch app implementation, and Eva Watch extension, which is responsible for communication between iPhone and Apple Watch. Okay, so similarly to the previous example, now we have a relief struct, which is already public because it is part of Eva CoreKit framework. So every method, variable I would like to use outside the framework, I have to add additional keyword to it. And I would like to reuse it when implementing Apple Watch, because under the hood it worked this way that Watch asks applications about reliefs that are on server. Application fetches those reliefs and sends those data to Apple Watch, right? So this was basically those data. So relief name, images, and so on and so forth. And I wanted to just integrate it like previously, and I thought it would be easy, right? Because I would like just type Eva CoreKit, and because Eva CoreKit contains relief, it will just it will start to working. But suddenly something happened, and at the very moment, I didn't know what. So let's check how Eva CoreKit frameworks looks behind the hood. It supports, Eva CoreKit framework is a dedicated framework that supports only iOS, iPhone devices, and simulators. That's why you can see as the car root supported platforms set to iPhone as an iPhone simulator. It supports target device family, which is 1 and 2. And this basically means that it supports iPhone and iPad because they share the same operation system. And we support iOS 11. That's why here you can see iPhone deployment target set to 11. On the other hand, we would like to see something like this on the Apple Watch. So as the car root will be WatchOS, it will run on Apple Watch and Apple Watch simulator. It will specifically run on device family 4, which is Apple Watch, and we would like to support WatchOS 5 Plus, and these are our requirements for framework. And it occurred that it's not possible to share the framework to meet both criteria. So we had to do one more transition. we had to add another framework just for Apple Watch. And having all of this in mind, you can add a last piece of puzzle into target membership here. Okay, and to clarify and make it work, we can just add a checkbox that this particular track belongs to 2 frameworks. And everything started to working correctly. Okay, and moving further about ACL, probably most of you know what it means. It's access control level. And this is the situation that we already, that we have by default. So we have application, and we have 3 different keywords that specify an access. Internal is the default one, and if you would like to make this access, this restrictiveness a little bit higher, then we use fire, private, or private. But having a framework here adds 2 new levels. So it's 2 out of 5. So basically it's like 40% more possibilities to write your code correctly, to decide whether this code should be visible from outside or overwritten, and so on and so forth. So this is a huge improvement, actually, having framework on site in the project. Okay, I think we have 4 minutes left. So advantages and disadvantages. Let's start with advantages. First of all, we have a well-decoupled code because everything has its own place. UI elements belong to app target. All API calls, storing sessions, sharing credential in keychain, and so on and so forth are in the target, the framework target. So the code is decoupled. And it's quite easy to distinguish which file belongs to which target because of its responsibility. And we have obvious responsibilities due to that because, if we think of it, what file should behave how, then we should probably place it in a proper, move it to the proper target, because we know what is responsibilities and when should it be placed. Furthermore, we conform to do not repeat yourself rule. Our code is extendable and reusable, and it's not just about the code because we have 2 targets, we have 2 frameworks right now, which probably covers most of other extensions we are able to have in IIS environment. We can add action extension or share extension or message extension or widget extension, I suppose. And having all this code in a framework allows us to migrate or create another extension and another with almost 0 cost, because the core base of our code is already there, is waiting for our implementation and is waiting to be extended, right? It's also, as I said, it's easy to be used by other extensions. It's testable, which is very, very important because I don't know if you know, but it was very surprising to me that Xcode doesn't offer a test target for extensions. So if I write a code in extension, I won't be able to cover this code by unit tests. So if I limit the code that is in the extension, then probably I could limit also a number of bugs, because I test the code that is a framework, which is testable by default, and the rest is only limited to extension. So it's like proxy and it's paying something to user, that's all. It's easy to debug, or at least it's not harder than in default architecture. And as I said, it adds 2 new access control level keywords, which is open and public, and it provides us a great flexibility of what we are doing. On the other hand, we have disadvantages because every solution has it. It's time-consuming to create such an architecture. It's only a valid point when we starting when development is started, or you have legacy code and you want to convert something like this. I show a PR in these sizes, and it took me like 3-4 days to achieve that. And to be honest, when I will start a new project today, possibly I would think about it, whether to use this solution or not. And I would especially ask client whether she or he has something in mind to create another extension. It's not the default architecture, so I think developers get used to it. It might be sometimes hard to navigate, but hey, everything developers can learn, and this is like having a legacy code. So if you're new to the project, if possibly need some time to get used to it, how it works, and so on. So this is a disadvantage for new developers. It also requires to remember in which bundle we are, because by default, having only one target, we are by default in the main bundle, and every SDK method from Apple assumes that you are in the main bundle. But if you would like to, for example, get an image from a framework, which actually Eva Corky framework does, you have to specify that image should be taken from that bundle, not the main bundle. And this is something to remember at the very beginning. Later, when you have your code and extensions, it just works out of the box. Also, there's I experienced sometimes some kind of missing SDK issues. For example, there is no straightforward way to load a font into framework. By default, Xcode does it out of the box, so we don't care about it when developing single target application. But in frameworks, you have to load it using Cortex Font Manager register for URL method. And it has to be done only once application launches. And it requires a little bit out of the box thinking. And I think it might be also an advantage here, because if I start to think about the where to place what, then possibly I will put it in the correct place because I've thought about it, right? And there is also less obvious libraries linking. For example, you should be aware of placing methods like or classes like UI application and UI screen with the framework, because not every extension is allowed to use such classes. And due to that, I encourage you, if you pick such a way for the next project, for example, rather to not put UI elements in the framework. Although it's also possible, right? But you have to have knowledge which classes are forbidden. In this case, UI application, UI skills are always forbidden in extension scope. And last but not least, having extensions. Actually, this is not the disadvantages of framework, because it's disadvantage of having multi-target project. That keychain and database needs to be shared via access group, so extension app can have an access to it without any troubles. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you for listening. I don't know whether there were some questions or not on chat. So Pavel, if you are there, you can maybe try to ask me. Okay, fixed. So I can't see questions. Okay, because we are late, thank you for having me. Thank you for hearing my presentation. Yeah, and see you soon. Bye.